Hello everyone, as you have watched the thumbnail that learning to learn. So you are here for learning and I'm here to teach you that how you can learn. And I'm trying all of the perspectives that we can work. The autonomy of learning. Today we are going to talk about autonomy of learning. So you can write here autonomy of learning. The people who are already very good at learning, they may have taken the notebook and their pen in their hands, and the people who are very weak at learning, they might have forgotten to carry their pen and notebook in their hand. So you will have to write everything that I write. I know this will take time, but I will be very happy because this will entirely be more effective to learn if you will write along with me. It will give you a sense of direction. It will remind you all the things because we are very, the people who are. Okay, how can a man to learn faster than others? The point is here, how can a man to learn faster than others? Techniques don't work. Techniques don't work. Only patterns of processing makes it faster. In the head. Makes it faster in the head because processing is invisible. Processing is invisible to others. It makes it difficult for others to copy. That's the reason why people are just having different processing pattern, because the processing is invisible, right? Each of the people who are sitting in the class can learn through the same words with the different meanings, with the have different perspective of the things. This has happened because processing that is happening in our head is totally different from each other. Each of you are sitting in the same class, sitting with a similar age. Even then, you can get the things differently. This has happened because the processing is invisible. You can copy why all the things like how the other people are sitting, how people are holding their pens and pencils or notebook in their hands, how they are looking at the things, but you can't copy the processing because the copying processing is a very tough task. You can't understand that how people are making the patterns in their brain, how they are connecting their information to the other information, how they are storing the information in their head, and that makes a really very big difference in the people's learning strategies, right? So that's why I said that technique don't work. Only pattern of processing makes it faster in the head. And if you want to be a fast learner, you will have to understand this thing, that you have to build your own pattern of learning. And in this video, I'm going to tell you that how you can create your own pattern of learning, which gives you the fastest way to success, the fastest way to learning, the fastest way to get whatever you want in your life. So this is not about all the things, other life stuff of the success. It is only about learning to learn. The class name is Learning to Learn. In this class, you'll go to know that how the processing works. So in this course, we have 5 dimensions. Okay, so we will learn how the autonomy of learning can take place in our head, can take place in our life through the 5 dimensions. Dimension 1, dimension 2, dimension 3, dimension 4, and dimension 5. In entire 5 dimensions, you will learn that how the things work, right? So processing 5 core dimensions. So we are going to know about the dimension 1, that is deep processing. Dimension 2, self-regulation. And likewise, there is a dimension 3, dimension 4, and dimension 5. So let's start with the first dimension, that is called deep processing. So let's start with that. That's called dimension 1. dimension 1. If you have not written, you can pause the video and can write all the things, and later you can reach to this dimension 1. Okay, so dimension 1 is deep processing. Deep processing. Okay, so I want to make you understand the deep processing is networking of knowledge. Networking of knowledge. Networking of knowledge is called deep processing, or it's called schema. It's called schema. The schema is a way that how you make a network, how you make network of the things, like how the things work for you. That's called schema. Okay, so what is the pattern of you making the things in your head? That's called schema. It's called a memory function. It is also called memory function. It's called understanding the pattern. The pattern. It's also called web of information. Web of information. It's called deep processing. I think you have understood that what am I talking about right now. That is the deep processing. We are going to know about that thing. Like first is what is I talking about? Like suppose this is the information. You have the information, okay, and this information is like this. Okay, so you keep this information, and you have some other information as well. And suddenly what happens? You forget. What do you have in your head? It's called forgotten, right? You have forgotten. So this is happened because you have the information, but these information now suppose have connected to each other. So if you forget this will help you to remember it. If you remember this will help you to remember this and the rest of the thing as well. So if you make connection with your rest of the information, that method is not forgotten. That is not forgotten. That is not forgotten. That process is called networking. Networking of information. That is called making the web. Web of information. That is called making the web. And that process is called deep processing. I think you have understood. All right. So now you need to keep in mind people who can develop or do deep processing habitually, they become top achiever. They become top achiever. So here it is, deep processing ability makes a person best decision maker. Makes a person best decision maker. Even if you are for exam, you are facing exam, which option you should choose, it is also decided by deep processing. If you know that deep processing, and the deep processing, the person who does deep processing is called genius. Okay, high achiever. So we need to work on deep processing in dimension 1, right? There are 4 other dimensions which one we will work simultaneously, but in this right now we are having this thing to the work that is called. So how the genius thinks? What is the difference in genius? What is the difference which makes it like this possible happen? I just tell you. You know, that's called, this is a great phenomena. The great phenomena is here. The great phenomenal in the brain. the brain called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. It is a chemical, right? Which is a great phenomena in the brain of a human being. The neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is what? Your brain's ability to break and make new connections. So it is a kind of a great ability of the brain to break and to make new connection. You may have seen this thing, like I have told you about that networking. This is called, right? Got it? So if the brain can easily make these all patterns, it is happen just because the neuroplasticity. And if we can't make patterns, so it is also a problem of neuroplasticity, the great phenomenon. If we learn and we forget, it is happen just because of this. And if we learn, can relate, it is also just because of it. In the previous case, it was like it's not working like it should be. In the after case, it is working as should be. So the deep processor can use this thing, can use the neuroplasticity for making the patterns. Okay. So the next thing is that just I'm going to tell you, you can train your deep processing. You can train your deep processing means here you have the way, you will get a way to deep processing, to train yourself how you can do deep processing. Even you do not have genetics. Even you do not have genetics. Genetics means your parents are not so deep processor, are not good for deep processing, but even then you can develop. Right? The genetics or parents to make smart enough. Your parents are not so educated, so that's why they didn't give you such kind of information. Even then you can develop. This thing is called deep processing. We can copy the deep processor through this way that I'm going to tell you. Okay. Okay. So now the problem is that, sir, if we don't know that how to flow the neuroplasticity chemical in our brain, so how to force the neuroplasticity chemical to flow, so that our brain can make patterns of the understanding, can relate to the things, multiple things, and so that I can also become a good, smarter enough. So the way to force neuroplasticity, it requires high level of discomfort and high level of efforts. Sometimes it happens in a month, sometimes it happens in years. It takes years to practice this thing, to force neuroplasticity. When you will force neuroplasticity in your head, it will require discomfort. You will have to go in a discomfort. You may have heard the saying that the character development is a process which is only happen when you are in a tough time. When you have tough time, then you find your character is developed. You define yourself, that what you truly are. Likewise, to force neuroplasticity, you need a discomfort with a combination of high level of efforts. You need to put efforts against the discomfort Discomfort, decreases your ability to motivate, decreases your happiness, decreases your energy. But even then, you have to put some efforts. Even you are struggling, but still you will have to put some extra efforts. Suppose you come to here for a delivering presentation, you're feeling in discomfort, and that moment you choose to go against the discomfort, put a little extra efforts, try to speak, it pushes your neuroplasticity. It pushes that chemical and makes you believe that you can do it. And you can relate to yourself, that to your higher self, and you can believe in yourself that you can achieve it and you can do it because you have proved it. So this has happened just because you force knowingly, unknowingly neuroplasticity chemical. Okay, and the people who don't bear the discomfort, who don't put their efforts, they can't force neuroplasticity. And that's why they don't know that how to relate the things. Sir, I don't know how to do it. Sir, I don't know how to deliver presentation. I don't know how to face interview. I don't know how to remind all the things. I don't know how to face exam. I said I can't manage my time. I can't focus on my study. I can't manage myself. This has happened just because of this. Because we can't relate the things, that how things are damaging our future, how things are affecting our life, and how things are making our life. And if you can force this neuroplasticity, we can clearly see the things through our mind size. Mind size means through your mind you can understand what things gonna help you and what things gonna destroy you. So to be smart enough, you need to understand, or you need to force the neuroplasticity. Without forcing neuroplasticity, you can't become a doctor, you can't become a teacher, you can't become a good student, you can't become anything else. This chemical just stays in your head, never flow, just because of you are not processing. You don't force yourself. That's why. So I'm not going to make it a long video. I'm just going to tell you in the shortest way. So the thing is that understanding deep processing or shallow processing. There are two types of processing. There are two types of processing. Okay. The first is deep processing, and second is shallow processing. Okay. So I'm going to tell you that what is that. The shallow processing. So now there are two types of processing that I'm just talking about. The thing is that that is very important. Like you have piece of information, and you keep this information in your head. And you just remember it. You can't relate this information. You don't find the way that how you will use it. You don't find a way that how you can utilize this thing in your life. You're just remembering all the things because you want to crack the exam. You want to just remember all the things, and you just want to get the marks in your exam so that you can go to the next class. So this kind of remembering stuff is called shallow processing. Here you don't make any pattern. Here you don't make any things to relate to your life, and that is even forgotten after facing exam. When you get result, you forget everything what you have learned. And if you have forgotten all the things that you have learned, so it makes things even more difficult, because you are having a degree but you don't have any information that how to use those information, those all skills, skills, or how you can change your life. It becomes very impossible for you because you have this kind of thinking method, or you have a processing method that is called shallow processing. On the contrary, you have information, you have this information, you keep this information, you remember this information, you try to deep down in the information to understand this thing, so that you can relate this information to other types of information, the other aspects of the information. You can relate, you can make the web, you can remember all the things, you can utilize all the things, you can change your behavior just based on this information, because you have believed that the information you got can totally have a fraction of other things, and that processing is called deep processing. Have you got it? When you can relate your information, relate education from your life, from your environment, from all of the things, that kind of processing takes so much discomfort, provides so much discomfort. Over that you have to put extra effort, You have to fight against discomfort, and that moment you do this thing in an appropriate manner, that phenomena happens. The phenomena is neuroplasticity. And the neuroplasticity happens. When the neuroplasticity happens, you try to make blur image in your head of the things that you have learned, and then you realize the power of learning. Then you realize the things that you have learned, it's in front of your head, but it's not in physical form, but it is in mental form. You can realize what all the things you have learned is having a relationship with each others, which having connections, and which have consequences, which have a benefit also. So you can understand those all things. That's called deep processing. Getting me? All the students who are watching this class are so intelligent. That's why they are watching this class, because I gave the first priority towards this class, that you must know how to speak in English, you have to understand English. And if you're watching this class, so you are the braver. You are you are very intelligent. I will make an other type of video also, that which will be in Hindi, but I'm not going to make it so soon. I will try to put this thing, because you all the students who are studying English here, you must know that how to understand English. So that so that's why I just recorded this thing in English, so that you can understand that sir is delivering the presentation so long. So why we can't? If sir is making the presentation like this is this long much. So why we can't? We can also. We are the students of sir. So if you can learn from the teachers all of the things, then why you can't learn this from me? If you can learn all of the sentences formation structure, you can learn how to make presentation, you can learn how to operate Tally RP9. So why you can't learn the way that I'm delivering the presentation in front of you? If one thing you can learn, you can learn second as well. You can learn multiple as well. If you can't learn one, then you can say you can't learn anything else. Every aspect of the life, or aspects of the learning or teaching that I'm doing right now, you can learn. So the deep processing is understood? Tell me. Got it? Yes. Okay. So now the point is that this shallow processing, you can ask the question. You can ask the question from yourself, that is my learning, so that kind of a processing is called isolated processing. In technical term, in a psychology term, it's called isolated processing, and deep processing, as you already know. Okay, so is my learning now isolated or integrated? Now you can ask the question from yourself, that how I learn. Do I learn through this method, or do I learn through this method? Or it maybe happen, sir, mix of it. Sometimes I learn like through this, and sometimes I learn like through this, but not all the time. Even I didn't know about that this is the right method of learning. Because I was not aware about this method, I maybe sometimes using this method, even it is hurting my learning. And very few time I'm using this method. So now you have understood, you have figured out this method is much more important than this. Remembering fact is not a learning. Remembering fact and connecting fact with the other information is a learning. If you can't connect, if you can't relate what you have learned, you have not learned. It is just isolated processing. So the answer is very clear. You can say to yourself, you can say that what processing method you use. Yes or no? Okay, this happened. Okay, so now you can clearly understand that what is my method. Thinking, isolated is what? You can write here, isolated is what? Thinking or memorizing. Thinking or memorizing, just understanding the meaning. Just understanding the meaning. So, and where the integrated, opposite. It is not about memorizing or just understanding the meaning. It is about connecting. It is about making the web of information. Got it?